So, hi again, everybody. Welcome back to those of you who have seen a few of my videos already. This is chapter 4. For those of you who are taking a dive for the first time and seeing what this is about, welcome. I hope you stick around, I hope you watch, and I hope you benefit from these videos. The purpose of making this series of videos is to chart the progress of my health and my life, dealing with a disability of a physical nature and also partially a psychiatric nature as well, and general mental health issues, and somehow intertwine that with my love of surfing and how they benefit from my passion for this particular activity. Quick disclaimer before we get into the meat of it. I'm not a trained medical professional in any way, shape, or form. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, not a paramedic. Nothing I say should be constituted as professional medical advice. Everything I say is my opinion, and my opinion only. If you feel that you are in need of medical assistance, be it mental or physical, then please seek treatment from the appropriate authority or institution. Okay. Having said that, let's move on. Where are we? So, last week, it was quite a long video. When I played it back, I didn't realise I'd been chatting away for about 40 minutes. I'll try and keep this one a little bit more concise, but I do tend to go on. So, apologies for that. So, yeah, since then, it's been an interesting week because it's really been the week where I've been waiting for my 3 monthly treatment of Botox to be injected into the muscles of my neck. Which means that in that last week, the previous treatment has pretty much worn off. All of the Botox has drained out my system. And so I've been quite symptomatic. I've coped alright with it, but there's certainly a difference, a very noticeable difference. And it makes life that bit harder. Movement is just very tiring because your body's working against itself all the time. I mean, it's doing it now, but that will improve over the next week because it takes a while for the Botox to take effect in your system. I'll explain that in a moment. So I've mainly slept this week when I haven't been working. I have managed to make some time to work out. I am trying to maintain some kind of routine. I think it's very important to do that. Don't let yourself just go to pieces when you're struggling. You want some kind of stability in your life. You may not do it perfectly, but manage what you can. So yes, I am guilty of spending a bit too much time under my duvet, but I've managed a couple of really solid workouts as well, which all things considered, I'm quite proud of really. Some people are in perfect health and they'll never run anything more strenuous than a bath. So maintaining your fitness when you've got physical disabilities, challenging to say the least. So if you can manage that, well done you. And plus also because this condition has like a psychiatric component as well. They have like a symbiotic relationship. The physical symptoms and the anxiety that comes with it, the psychiatric component. So the Botox leaves your system which triggers or which causes the physical symptoms to worsen, and consequently your psychiatric symptoms worsen because you're feeling more stressed and anxious and tired, which makes the physical symptoms worse. So it can kind of do that a little bit. I've been doing a lot of breathing exercises and self-hypnotherapy exercises I was given by a trained hypnotherapist within the NHS, and they do help. They really do help. There's something there in hypnotherapy that really does work. Some people think it's something of like an alternative complementary medicine or treatment rather. I don't think so. I think it really does have an effect, and I know there is plenty of documented evidence to back that claim up, but we're not going to discuss that now because I'm going to try and stay on point. So yesterday I got my injections. It's a bit of a long day. It took longer than the previous time. I was an hour late going in, so I was a bit stressed. Nothing worse than sitting in a chair in a hospital waiting room. I don't know who designs those chairs, but they've been designed by somebody who hates everybody in the NHS. I can guarantee you that. But to put it into context, the guy I was sat next to had Tourette syndrome, which has been in the news this week, as I'm sure you're aware for various reasons that I'm not going to discuss. And this guy had Tourette's, and I'm not sure I've ever actually really kind of met someone with Tourette syndrome. When you know what it is and you've seen it on TV, it was interesting to see him sat right next to me. And I know I struggle with my symptoms, and I'd be very glad to be rid of this condition. But I certainly wouldn't trade it for his. That poor guy was really suffering, and I really felt bad for him. In particular because he was such a nice bloke, quite young. I think I would place him around mid-20s to 30. It was a little bit hard to tell. But he had all the symptoms you usually see with Tourette's. He had the tics, the spasms, the occasional outbursts. He didn't say anything that would be deemed controversial or even remotely offensive. In fact, if anything, the thing he said more than anything else was sorry. I think he was just really embarrassed by his condition, and he just kept apologising. And we were all at pains to say, look, mate, it's fine, it's okay, don't worry about it. We're all here for a reason. None of us are in good shape right now. And I didn't get his name, but we talked. And wherever he is, I wish him well. I'm going to say a prayer for that guy. Yeah, poor chap. Tourette's looks awful. Looks like an awful thing to have to live with, because he's had that presumably most of his life. Anyway, got my injections. Hence the pun-based title of the program. I do enjoy a good pun. And they're not irritating little pricks. You barely notice them actually. I don't really feel the needle at all. What I feel more than anything is the three doctors trying to hold me in position, because it's very easy to be told to turn your head a certain way, keep it still. But good luck getting me to do that. I think I just about managed it while I'm asleep. Anyway, they got the injections done. There's a lot of trial and error in treating people with Botox for movement disorders. It's not a question of, well, we'll just shove it in this muscle and you're fine. They have to find the exact spot. They have to feel around your neck. They have to work out which muscle is the one that really needs the work. So every treatment I've had has been slightly different in its efficacy. And the last one that I had before yesterday, they injected it into one extra muscle, which I'd never even heard of actually. It's called the splenius. Sounds like an ancient Roman emperor. And so they injected my splenius again this time, but with more than last time. I was actually arguing for an increase in dosage, but they said it doesn't really work like that. We can't. Well, they can, but they didn't want to. They didn't want to risk it. It's more like you try a certain dosage, then you give it a few iterations to check for side effects and so on and so forth. So I was a bit pushy, because I always believe in, test your arguments out, push hard, and if you come back with something convincing, then okay, you concede. So I conceded with the group of neurosurgeons who were arguing with me. I'm probably thinking I was a bit of a pain in the arse. But so I had the same dose, but they changed where they put it basically. And mostly it went into this muscle called the splenius. So that's that. And I'm always kind of relieved afterwards because it's been the weeks building up to these appointments. They always leave me a little bit stressed out. You just want to get it done. You want the relief. So I came home, just had enough time to make myself something to eat and do a few bits and pieces. And then I was in bed by 8 p.m. and fell asleep and woke up at 7 this morning feeling much better. And I had a pretty productive day. So that was last week covered. It went well, all in all. I don't think there's much to add to that, but I'll probably think of something later. Anyway, this channel, I keep talking about surfing, but then I keep talking about the fact that the channel is about surfing, but I don't actually do much talking about surfing. So, good news, I've actually got something to talk about this week. That is that last year it was my 50th birthday, and some friends of mine clubbed together and bought me vouchers to get some sessions in at an artificial reef, a surfing reef in Bristol called The Wave. I'm just going to segue to an image now of the website. Oh no, sorry, I haven't got that one. My mistake. I've got another one lined up. And very professional production, this. So yeah, so I'm going to go surfing next week. I'm going to be there on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I might make a short video on Saturday and then add it to whatever I make on another day. I don't know what I'm going to do next week. We'll see. But hopefully I'll come back with some footage or at least some pictures of me surfing, or if not surfing, at least falling off a board like that. So it should be a photo of me somewhere, at least trying. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm not a big fan of travelling these days. It's hard work, but at least when you're travelling towards something that you're looking forward to, that makes it a lot more manageable. And I've got ways of making myself comfortable when I travel now as well. I have pillows that I put behind my neck and things like that. I always make sure I've got the window on this side so I can lean against it. I'll tell you a story about that one day. So yeah, surf camp. That should be good fun. I was going to bring my own wetsuit, but it seems a bit pointless seeing as they provide them and it's a bulky thing to carry. I've got two. I've got a nice kind of like olive coloured one, which I really like because it's so distinct. There's a bit of a squeeze getting into that one. And I've got a much thicker winter one, which is just your standard plain black wetsuit. But there's no point packing them for 4 days at an artificial reef where they've got thousands of wetsuits you can fit them out with. So I'm going to travel as light as possible. Come May this year, I will be taking my own wetsuit to Portugal, and I will be packing an awful lot of stuff. So, yeah. Right. That's the précis. What I really want to talk about for the rest of the video, and hopefully I won't take too long, is I'm just going to talk about how I got the help I needed when I needed it, and just what a bizarre coincidence it all felt like. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to put my sweater off because I'm getting warm. Sorry about this. That's better. Oh, that's nice. So, deep dive. Just before I got diagnosed correctly with dystonia, when this was really just starting, when it was really just a bit of a tiny tremor in the jaw and the slight movements of the head, I was getting treatment with a lady in Blackburn called Kate Hamer, who is a Bowen therapist. Okay, I hope I've got that pronunciation correct, Kate. Apologies if I haven't. Now, I've known about Bowen therapy for a long time because 20 years ago I was teaching martial arts to some people in London. And there was a guy there, and he was about my size, maybe a bit bigger actually. I think he was a bit taller. I know I found that throwing him and, pinning him and stuff, it's not really that difficult. And then it turned out that he had I think it was like a shoulder injury that had been bothering him for years and years. And he went and saw a bone therapist. Highly recommend you look this stuff up. And this therapist did his bone therapy, which involves kind of realigning the body and sort of making it adjust and heal itself. And when he came back from these sessions, it was quite strange. I mean, I could feel it. It was quite palpable. He went from being like bending a noodle to like trying to manipulate an oak tree. It totally changed the feel of working with him. So it was quite clear that something had changed there. So bone therapy is a real thing. And Kate Hamer is a practitioner. She's a lovely person. I'm going to explain why she's a lovely person any second now. I'm going to put a link to her website in the description of this video so you can check it out yourself. If you think it might be of use to you, then give her a call. She's pretty cool. So yeah, I was having bone therapy with her because I had a bit of sort of what you might call writer's cramp in this hand. I actually think this is where the dystonia really started, but again, material for another show. At the time, I was ignorant of this fact. But this hand was really tight. I couldn't wiggle my fingers. The muscles were pulling so hard I could hear the bones grinding. It was really strange. It wasn't very pleasant. So I thought, well, it worked for Ruben, my friend, so why don't I try and find some bone therapy in Blackburn and have a go? So I found Kate, give her a call, make an appointment. Went on my first session. Went okay, nothing remarkable, but it went fine. Excuse me. Then I think a week or two later, I went back again. Yeah, because I must have gone down to London, then come back. And I booked another session with her. And at this point, like I said, it was starting to bother me. I didn't realise at the time, but that was the start of the panic. Basically, that was the beginning of me falling apart. And before we had the therapy session itself, I was sat down with Kate at this in a little clinic, and she was asking me some preliminary questions. How are you being? How are you getting on? And I mentioned this in passing, and she's very astute, and I think she can read people pretty well, and you could see there was more to it than just a bit of a tremor in the jaw. So she said, "Are you feeling suicidal?" And I thought about it for a second, and I went, "Yeah, I am actually." And I was. Don't worry, there's no tears coming this time. Um, yeah, I was. And she said, "Right, I've got just the thing." Well, she said something like this, to paraphrase. I've got just the thing for you. It's called the 180 Project. It's based in Darwin, so that's down the road from Blackburn. It's virtually the same town. It's like a multidisciplinary method of treatment for people with various issues that tend to resolve around mental health. I think that's a pretty good summary of it. So she talks a bit about it, and I said, "Oh, it sounds interesting. I'll think about it." And that was on the Thursday. So I thought about it for a grand total of 24 hours, and I rang her up on first thing on the Saturday morning and said, I messaged her, and I just said, "Okay, I'm in." And she said, "Well, as it happens today, just is the case that members of 180 Project are doing a sponsored walk in the Forest of Bowland. So if you can get there in time, you can join them and you can meet them, and I'll message ahead and let them know, and we'll get you enrolled." So she referred me over to them, basically. And in that moment, I just thought, fuck it, just go and do it. There's something in my mind, something in the back of my mind was telling me, this is important, you need this, or you're going to need it. very much so shortly. It's like I had a little kind of psychological early warning system. So I got in my car because I could drive then at that point. Oh shit, no, I didn't. I get in my car. No. I had to get a taxi because I'd already stopped driving for some reason. So I got a taxi out to where the meeting point was, but they'd already set off because I was late. And Bowland is this very beautiful part of Lancashire, and it's quite remote, so you don't get an awful lot of signal for your mobile phone there. So I was there, had no idea where this group was. So I went to the nearest pub, borrowed their Wi-Fi, messaged Kate, said, "Well, I'm at the meeting point, but they've gone." And she said, "Well, yeah, they're set off, and the next RV is 5 miles down the road, but it is just down the road, so you can catch them up." So I thought, hell, why the hell not, eh? Challenge is, yeah, it'll be good for me. I'll embrace it. I can either get a taxi home and give up, or I can just go for it and just somehow catch them up. For some reason, it was really important to me in that moment. So I kind of girded my loins and just ran for it, basically. And I haven't really done any serious running for a long time. Although I have always been a runner. And I had my boots on and my little rucksack. And I ended up running about 5 miles to catch up with these people at the next village. And I was a sweaty wreck by the time I got there. And I actually beat them. I don't know how far behind me they were, at what point I overtook them. They went along the river and I went by the road. Anywho, it was an unconventional introduction to an unconventional form of treatment. And I met some of the people I'd become familiar with over the next few months. And we finished the walk off and got dropped off. And then the madness started the following Monday. And the way it works at Project 180 is that they mix. Oh God, how do I describe this? Alright, okay, let's put it this way. It takes place at a location called the Delta Fox CrossFit Gym, or CrossFit Delta Fox, in Lower Darwin. And it's a gym that teaches CrossFit, which is a very popular sport, as you know. And they use that as the basis, along with a number of other forms of treatment from people who are trained therapists. None of this is ad hoc, they're not making up as they go along. They have people who do CBT. They have connections into other sources of therapy, mental health support, housing support. They reach out into the prison system. They bring people in from there who are preparing to turn their lives around. They work with substance abuse groups, like NA, AA, and so on and so forth. But it's ultimately it's about mental health. And I was on the verge of cracking up, so it seemed kind of appropriate. So the way it's structured is that every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, you're expected to be there. No excuses are accepted, pretty much. You had to be either ill, sick, dying, or dead if you weren't there. You had to have a good reason. Because the point of the programme is to build mental fortitude and discipline so that you'll be able to carry on when times are tough. You've got to remember a lot of the people in this programme have problems with addiction. So they're training their bodies, but they're also training their minds and their souls, if you wish, to have the mental fortitude, a phrase coined by the chief instructor, which I really like, to be consistent in living a clean and healthy lifestyle, even when all your demons are working to bring you down. So every Monday, Wednesday, Friday we'd be there. We'd be there for about an hour. We'd have a beasting in the gym, and it was a beasting. It was, those workouts were as serious as anything that I ever did in the army. No, I never let on. And then on Friday we would have a group therapy session, which is kind of like how you picture it. You're all sat in a circle. and you share, and if one person's talking, everybody else listens, and so on and so forth. And it was all very well managed and very professional. And I really can't speak highly enough of the place. I'm going to just bring there. So yeah, that's their website. There's going to be a link to the website in the description field for the video. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what happens in the group sessions because I think I'll do that next week because it's going to take too long otherwise, because this video's already dragging on a little bit, I think. Oh yeah, we're at 25 minutes. I want to wrap up in the next 5 minutes. So yeah, the way it all works in detail, I'll cover that next week, I think. But it was a lifesaver for me. I'm not quite sure where I would be today without it. So I owe them an immense debt of gratitude. Josh, H, Sam, Fionn, Mark, the other Mark, the CBT Mark. The whole place is kind of strange. It's a gym, it's a therapy centre, it's a meeting space, it's also a church where they have religious services there on a Sunday, faith and fitness. So you'll sit around and pray. And, some people give testimonials. And you'll sit in your shorts and t-shirt, and then when it's over, Mark Dyer, the Quicker Vicar, the beast of a priest, he joins in, and we'll have a big good old beasting session in the gym that we've just been praying in. So it's all pretty wild, really. But it worked really well, and continues to. I'm going to pay him a visit soon and say hello, and maybe get some footage for you guys. So the reason I titled this video Serendipity was because it just seemed like such a strange and incredibly fortuitous set of circumstances and coincidences that I should happen to, out of the blue, be trying Bowen therapy, which I'd only heard of 20 years before, to resolve a problem in my hand so that I could meet the right person who could see that I was in a lot more psychological pain than I knew I was in. She could see it coming, I think. So thank you, Kate. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for referring me. I will be forever grateful. And then to refer me to 180, and for me, just in that moment on the Saturday morning, out of the blue, to feel this incredible inspiration to go and do this program, to embark on this mission of madness, and think, I've got nothing left to lose. Something's going wrong here. I need to go and do this. So to go and actually do it on the same day that they've got this sponsored walk going, and I can go and meet them. So it was kind of strange, really. God moves in mysterious ways, I imagine. I think, rather. So yeah, should I sign off there? Is there anything I want to add? Not yet. That's plenty. That's plenty for 1 week, I think. And I don't want it to be another 50-minute video like the last one was, because I think that's too much for people to watch. And it was a lot for me to record as well last week. I was pretty shattered at the end of it because I had to do 4 takes. Hopefully I got it right in 1 take this time. Yeah, okay, so we'll stop there. Serendipity saved me, and maybe the point of this video is trust your instincts. If you've got a gut feeling that something's going wrong, then your gut is probably correct. Your gut is actually connected to your brain. There are neurons in your digestive system. So I think that's where the concept of the gut feeling comes from. Trust it. If something doesn't feel right mentally, get it addressed. Don't sit on the couch, slobbed in front of the TV, feeling sorry for yourself, doing nothing about it. Turn that shit off. Get up. Go and get some help. You might have to dig around a bit, but somebody somewhere will point you in the right direction. I think there is a chronic mental health epidemic spread across our entire country. Could be global, but definitely across our entire country. There's an awful lot of people out there who are in pain. and who have simply no way to turn because the NHS, God bless them, it's not their fault, but they are on their knees when it comes to mental health support. I was referred to mental health 4 years ago. I'm still waiting for a call back after our initial conversation. So they just can't handle the workload at the moment. So the bulk of the heavy lifting is being done by private organisations, and some of them are doing it really, really well. So next week I'll talk more about Project 180. Hopefully I'll have some interesting material from my surfing experience, so wish me luck. Should be good fun. Hopefully some cool pictures, hopefully not too many pictures of me doing that as I fall off the board, because that's just usually how it ends. Surfing, not as easy as it looks, but always, always brilliant. As I always say, a bad day surfing is still a good day. So on that note, thank you for watching. Please share this video with other people. I hope it gives somebody else hope, because there is always hope to be had. If you think it was worth it, there is a link to buy me a coffee if you want to chip in a couple of quid. It's much appreciated. I can use it to buy things like a little microphone, which I got. Oh god, see, screwing this up again. A microphone I got this the other week to improve the quality, a bit more lighting, things like that. But it's by no means obligatory or expected. I'm just really glad that you watched it, and they're grateful for that. And the best thing you can do is just share it around. You never know, you might just save somebody. So on that note, I wish you a happy week. I wish you a blessed week. Thank you for everything, and arrivederci.